President Trump is reportedly considering signing an executive order that would declare Arlington County never legally left the District of Columbia in the first place. And this isn't some wild idea out of left field, as it were. This is a serious legal argument that many have been making for decades now. It's being made by very serious legal scholars, and here's the history that you need to know. So back in 1790, Virginia ceded a parcel of land, the territory that would become Arlington, to the federal government to help form the new District of Columbia. Virginia's own agreement stated that this land was given for the, quote, permanent seat of the federal government. But then in 1847, under President James K. Polk, that same land was what was called retroceded back to Virginia, because Virginia wanted to protect slavery in Northern Virginia after the district began moving toward abolition. So after D.C. started adopting abolition, Northern Virginia wanted to save slavery states as much as they could. So Virginia Democrats demanded Arlington be restored back to them, restored back to their state so it could be safe for slavery. Now, presidents as far back as Abraham Lincoln questioned the legality of that retrocession. President William Howard Taft openly called it unconstitutional. The Supreme Court has never been forced to definitively weigh in. And now Trump could direct the Department of Justice to do exactly that, to formally challenge the 1847 retrocession and restore Arlington and even Alexandria back to their rightful place inside the District of Columbia. And he would force that through an executive order rescinding the retrocession. And many are arguing that such an executive order would be on stronger legal footing than many of the auto pen era executive actions via Biden that sailed through without challenge. The constitutional text is clear. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 describes the seat of government as land ceded by particular states for a permanent purpose. If the secession was permanent, and the original Virginia agreement says it was, then how on earth can a state unilaterally take it back? Now, in the meantime, this redistricting referendum is facing its own court challenges, and they're certainly formidable. Bottom line, this referendum was blatantly illegal. And here's what most people don't know about it. A Tazewell County Circuit Court Judge, Jack Hurley, already ruled that this entire redistricting push was illegal. Judge Hurley found that Democrats failed to follow Virginia's own constitutional rules for amending the state constitution, which require that any amendment pass in 2 separate legislative sessions with an intervening election. Now, the Virginia Supreme Court allowed the referendum to proceed, but critically, the court explicitly stated that its ruling did not resolve the underlying legal questions. They just allowed the referendum to go on. The highest court in Virginia is still sitting on this case, and if it agrees with Judge Hurley, Tuesday's vote becomes entirely moot. Meanwhile, the Republican National Committee, the Virginia GOP, and individual Virginia voters have filed separate lawsuits arguing the new maps violate Virginia's own constitution, which explicitly requires electoral districts to be drawn contiguously and compactly, not these gerrymandered Frankenstein districts that we're now going to be seeing throughout the state. Jason Sneed, executive director of the Honest Elections Project, he says he believes that the litigation is going to move at lightning speed given how close the midterm primaries are. And many believe, given how close this referendum was, that the Virginia Supreme Court is going to strike this referendum down. So let's put this all together here. What we're looking at is emphatically not a done deal. What we're looking at is the opening round of a multi-front war. Democrats spent more money than ever on this, over $60 million. They even brought in the old corpse Obama. They hid their own map from the ballot so that people signing or voting yes didn't even know what they were voting for. They barely won because the Virginia electorate shifted to the right by double digits. You've got at least one judge already declaring the referendum illegal, and the Virginia Supreme Court is yet to rule. And Donald Trump hasn't played his ultimate card as of yet. If he moves If he directs the DOJ to revisit the 1847 retrocession, the Democrats' entire Northern Virginia gerrymander machine goes with it.